Welcome everyone, hope you're having a very wonderful day, and welcome to my guide for Nilgai for Sundarpatan. Before we begin, I want to quickly break down how today's guide is going to work. So our first section will be covering their hotspots and locations, and then we're going to move on to weapon recommendations, and then end today's video with the animal profile, which is a custom map, time zones, ammo chart, and more. Everything you need to make your hunting life 10 times easier. So let's get right into it with going over their drinking time. These guys drink between 8 to 12. Now another key thing that I do want to mention is how their groupings work. Now with the Nilgai, they're going to reside either as a group of males or a group of females. If you do have a male with a group of females, it will always be one Nilgai. That's what I've seen so far when I've come across these guys, at least 1 to 2, because I've seen at least 2 with a group of females, which could have been a loner, but I think it's just generally just one male with a group of females. So as you guys can see here at this lake right now, we just have pretty much only males. We have 2 groups of males here and groups of 4. I've not seen them in more than 4 at any of my locations unless there's a single with them. But that's pretty much how you're going to see them for males. At least for females, you're going to see at least, I don't know, maybe more than that, 5 to 6, maybe upwards. But at least for males, it's going to basically just be, all these locations are going to be dependent upon where your males reside at on your map. So let's open them up really quick, and we're going to go to the northernmost section of where these Nilgai can reside. So we're going to zoom all the way out here, and we're going to just quickly drag our mouse here. Now the Nilgai like to reside at the very bottom left-hand corner of the map here, and we're going to start the northernmost section. So as you guys can see here, we're zooming in at this lake here, which is kind of out of bounds of the map, also sort of in. This is the northernmost point. Now this lake for me is pretty good. I think it's a pretty good spot for hunting these guys at if you can get some groups of males there. At least where my tent is, it's pretty easy to come off up to this ledge and shoot down at them. It's pretty good angle on them here. Going down here, we have our first hotspot that I marked down. Now the only reason why this is a hotspot is because it's been such a good location for me. It could be a staker location for you guys, just depends upon where your males reside. As I have 2 male groups here, I did mark as a hotspot, at least for me. But coming off over here onto the right hand side, we have this group of lakes here, we're also going to include talking about the one where there's some hot spots here, the heat spots. Now all these lakes here can house Nilgai, but one of them, which I'm kind of iffy about, which I did mark, and we're going to talk about that right now. We're going to zoom in on it here. It's this one with this landmark. I've not seen any Nilgai there, not even loners, but we do have a group of blue sheep, and if you do find Nilgai there, please let me know. I'm pretty interested about that. I don't know why I've just not got any spawns there. Maybe they just don't go there. But as we come down here, we're going to talk about the farthest right location where Nilgai can reside here. We do have this outpost here, which I think is like one of the starting locations, or at least near the starting location of the game, or to the right of it. I kind of forget where you start in this game, but at least on this map, but this lake right here is the farthest right location where Nilgai can reside. It's nestled between these 2 outposts right here. And if you come off to the left, we have a group of 4 lakes. Now this group of 4 lakes is one of my favorite locations to hunt these guys at. They're all easy to access compared to the lakes above them, which is kind of harder because you're going to be doing a lot of creeping at the top lakes here. But down here, it's just pretty easy to find some pretty open locations to pick them off at. I think the hardest of the 4 is the one over here on the left, which I did mark down as a hot spot because it's a pretty decent sized lake, and I've had at least 2 to 3 groups of 2 groups of females and 1 group of males there. And then off to the right here, where I have another tent and tripod, I have 2 groups of males there as well. Moving down to an actual guaranteed hotspot, we have these 2 lakes right here. Now the top lake has 3 zones of Nilgai, which is a pretty good location. At least one of them is a group of females. But down below, I originally had a group of 4. Unfortunately, I deleted 2 of the zones, so now we only have 2 here. But I do believe this is definitely a guaranteed hotspot lake. Moving off to the right here, we have a group of 4 lakes here, including this very tiny one. I kind of should have marked this lake down at the top right-hand corner of the 4 here as a hotspot because it's a pretty decent-sized lake, which houses, I think, at least 2 groups of Nilgai, or 3 groups of Nilgai, which there is 3. So I would consider this a hotspot location because of the larger probability of spawns being there due to how the size of the lake itself is. Now coming down here to the lake side, now all the Nilgai that can reside here will be on the left side of this lake here. The farthest location is at this little elbow right here. I did have 2 groups here, but I deleted those zones as well, and they moved off over here to the left hand side, and they pretty much cover all the way down here into this little area as well. So that's pretty much it for all their hotspots and locations. I hope I explained it pretty easy for you guys. So we're going to head back to the outpost where we're going to cover a few of my favorite weapons to hunt these guys with. So I'll see you guys there in just a second. Alrighty folks, so here we are back at the outpost. Before we begin, I want to quickly say three things. First things first is, I'm only going to be covering rifles, handguns, and shotguns. I'll not be covering bows because I'm not a bow expert, so I'll leave that to professionals. Secondly, just my personal recommendations and favorites. I always say go out there and explore and see what suits you and what you enjoy playing with. And then lastly, I'll be mentioning whatever DLC these weapons come from in case you want to pick them up for yourself. So, let's get right into it with our very first rifle of the day, and this is a base game rifle, the Coachmate Lever Action 4570. Now, I don't own it because I use the handgun version, but the 4570 are really good for these Nilgai. These guys are kind of beefy, to be quite honest with you, and it takes them a little bit to drop. So I do recommend using a hard hitting round, and the 45 will drop them with relative ease. It covers classes 4 through 9. It's just a hard hitter. I do recommend it. If you don't want to spend money on any DLC to pick this rifle up, it will not disappoint you when it comes to killing these Nilgai. Moving on to our second rifle here on today's list. Now, I do believe it's going to be the #1 rifle in terms of killing Nilgai, for me at least. The Malmer 7mm is one of my favorite guns in the game. It covers classes 4 through 9, just like the 4570. It's just a hard-hitting rifle. You have 3 rounds in there. You could play some pretty decent follow-up shots, and if you have multiple groups of Nilgai at those zones, this rifle definitely do the trick. It's got my seal of approval. I love this thing, and you can find it in the Hunter Power Pack DLC. Moving on to our final rifle of the day here, we have the Zarza 10308. If you want a semi-auto version, here you go. For any of the weapon options I'll be recommending, this thing will definitely do the trick. The 308 does a wonderful job on red deer, and it definitely does a really wonderful job on these Nilgai. The reason why I say that is because I feel like both of them are pretty comparable in tankiness. From some weapon tests I've done when the bolt-action rifle pack came out, the newest one, the community choice one, I was doing some weapon testing and I found out how kind of tanky the Nilgai and the red deer are, and they're pretty similar in that way. So I recommend the 308, the 7mm, and that 4570 to deal with these beefy boys. And for the 308, you can find it in the Modern Rifle Pack DLC. Moving on to handguns, since I've already talked about the 4570, you guys know what I'm about to mention here. The 4570 German Superior is my favorite handgun in the game. It's the best pistol in the game. Covers classes 4 through 9. You can put a rifle scope on it, which kind of just outshines all the other pistols in the game, other than the 243 one when it has class coverage. But this handgun is just phenomenally, insanely good. I can't overhype this thing as much as I do. I kind of just talk about this thing all the time in every single video I get an opportunity to. Just recommend it. If you want to level up your pistols, try it out. This weapon will not disappoint you. It's just a blast to use, even with the downside of being a one-shot pistol. You can find this bad boy in the High Caliber Weapon Pack DLC. Moving on to shotguns here. If you do want to hunt with a shotgun for Nilgai, which I pretty much wouldn't recommend, but there is some brushy locations that you can get away with. I recommend the Strandberg 10 gauge. Very phenomenal 10 gauge shotgun, semi-automatic. You have 4 rounds in the tube, can deal with them pretty easily. And if you come over here to check out their ammo, the buckshot will definitely do the job, and so will these slugs. It has just phenomenal penetration. It'll knock these Nilgai out pretty quick. Recommend putting a pretty decent shotgun scope on it and going to town with it, and you'll be having a blast. And you can find the Strandberg 10 gauge in the High Caliber Weapon Pack as well. So that's pretty much it for the weapon recommendation, folks. Holy smokes, I just had like a stroke there for a second. But that's pretty much it. So we're going to head over to the animal profile, so I'll see you guys there in just a second. And here we are, folks, at the end of today's video. Before I let you guys go, I'm going to do a quick animal profile breakdown. So on the left-hand side, we have all of our basic Nilgai information. We have our class, difficulty, silver, gold, and diamond threshold. We have our weight from least to greatest in kilograms and in pounds. For fur types, we have common and rare. Moving on the center map, we pretty much covered all that information at the start of today's video. Moving on, top right-hand corner, we have all of our time zones nice and organized for you. And then below that, we have our ammo chart for those full entirety kills. So that pretty much does it for today's video, folks. If this guide does help you out, please drop a like. It really helps out the channel. With all the way, I hope you guys have a very wonderful day. Happy hunting, good luck, and I will see you guys in the next one.